Hello, hello. Welcome back to the shade of it all. I am Brandon.
And I am Magdala Maggie.
Magdala Magdala. The Magnificent World of Magdala. Ooh, that's a good memoir title.
Except that doesn't reflect my life at all. My memoir title should be A Series of Unfortunate Events.
That already exists. So
That's the closest. It's a little too pep hoppy, happy go lucky for my life.
oh Maggie, are you okay-ish? What's happening? What's wrong?
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's really not that bad. I just don't feel great. And the problem is I almost never get sick. So I have a very low tolerance for pain and the inconveniences of being sick. So
True.
naturally, I'm annoyed. But I'm getting better, I think. I'm fine. I just need to I ate something that's just not agreeing with me and I've been like feeling gross for like a day or two. But I slept a lot today. I slept like 9.5 hours, which
That's
is better
good.
than the 2.5 hours I got on Saturday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I could not sleep. I wasn't feeling good. So
Yeah,
looking
Maggie
forward, and
didn't come to the workout this morning.
yeah,
She abandoned me.
I had to abandon Brandon.
It's okay
How was
though.
it being by yourself? Did you miss me so much?
Of course.
It's like any answer other than no, it's the wrong
Yes,
answer.
of course. I will say, it was a big class, a bigger class than usual on Sunday, and
Mhm.
they paired me with this random lady
Hmm.
that she was nice, but I could tell she was really into working out. Like it was just
Okay.
like she's like into it. But she was cool. And honestly, I appreciated that she didn't try to talk to me until the end when we were like, good job, good one, have a good day.
Hmm.
Because I'm like, I'm not trying to talk to anyone really during the workout unless it's like
Right.
you. So I'm like, it's fine.
You barely talk to me. Brandon is focused.
This is
Okay. I
true.
tried to make a joke and I tried to like tell him something. And he's just like, what did you say? It's also kind of hard to talk. You can't
It
really
is.
talk.
It depends on the workout. It depends
Yeah.
on the specific station.
Yeah. Sometimes we're like joking with each other. For the most part, we're pretty focused. Whenever they pair me with someone new, I just try to like learn their name and that's it. I'm like, hi,
Okay.
I'm Maggie. Oh, nice to meet you. And then
Great.
we
Now shut
work
up.
out. Time to work out. And then I also make a mental note in my mind to beat them at whatever we're doing. If it's a station, I'm squatting more. If we're doing pull-ups, I'm doing them better. I don't know. I just like it's like, oh, competition. Let's go.
See, I'm just like, just do it. Do as many as you can. No use competing. But I did take a nap today.
Oh,
Or
that's
like, I
awesome.
hardly ever do. But
Yeah.
after we texted earlier and decided when
Hmm.
we were going to record, I went back to my room to finish watching the Chelsea interview.
Hmm.
And I low key, like, I was listening, but like, I fell asleep a little bit.
It was kind of boring, so I don't blame you.
I heard the important parts.
Yeah. Okay. So you're
That's
doing
all good.
okay-ish, Brandon?
I would say so. It's like I feel all right. I just feel like I'm not getting enough sleep as well. Like I need to get more sleep.
That part.
And
It
like I
literally
feel like it'll
changes
be fine.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's hard to get consistent with sleep too. I don't know. We're just so busy. Like
We're
we
just so
actually saw a
busy.
lot more of each other this week. On Wednesday, Brandon and I watched the Love is Blind reunion
We
together,
did.
and I almost wish that we were like doing it live because our reactions were so funny.
But
Um,
if you want to see some of our reactions, I have a
oh
vlog
yeah.
dropping that will have dropped by the time this episode airs on my
He's
YouTube
a
channel.
vlogger.
B Lord
Yes.
AF, BLORD AF. Like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
Were the clips you got of us funny?
They were like, and we got when Trevor walks out, which that was something. We got when Sarah Ann walked out, a little
Oh
bit of that.
boy.
The aftermath of Chelsea exposing that they break up a lot. We got some cute clips. We got
Okay,
some
good,
cute
good, good.
clips.
Because those were very funny moments.
I had to keep two for the video, like Trevor's full. Not it felt like his full explanation because he was silent for a good amount of it, but I had to keep it because I'm like, y'all, what is this?
Yeah. Oh, this is gonna be great. And we've done some like interview watching, so we'll include that in our
Hmm.
review today too. I'm excited.
Yes,
We got a lot to talk about.
we do. Want to get started?
Let's get started, Brandon. Should we
Let's
just
get
go in
started.
reunion order, like beginning to end? Because it definitely started with a bang. Well, it started with something annoying, then it went to a banger, and then it faded off. All of the like jokes in the beginning, I was like, please, we don't
Oh, when
care
they're
where
going
you're
from the
recording from.
pods and
Yeah, they're
Nick
like,
and
we're recording
Vanessa.
from the Love is Blind studio. And it's like, where have you been recording from before? We didn't know.
Hey, I'm like, it was kind of cool when they did like where they would usually do the reveal and then it was the
Yeah,
stage. I was like,
that part
wait,
was cute.
all you needed was that part. You
Yeah.
didn't need Vanessa and Nick in the pods just like, can I lift you at a concert? And she wore a dress that was so ugly. And I just like, look, I can't with Nick and Vanessa. It should be
Brandon is not
us.
a fan. It should be us,
We would
okay?
ask
Brandon,
the hard-hitting questions.
we
And I
would
will
get
also
down
say
to it.
another thing about Nick. He asks questions, but then stays talking. Like he does not let them answer. He's like, I'm gonna get this full paragraph out. And it's like, Nick, shut up.
That's
No,
so
we don't
funny.
need this.
I didn't peep that, but I love that you did. He was a little more talkative this time, especially with Trevor. They did a lot more. I will say, this reunion compared to other reunions is different. Never have I seen them pull out so many receipts at a reunion.
They did a
And
lot.
typically, if they do, it's like after the reunions happened and production shows a clip of something. For example, my brother, I'll explain more later. I was watching Love is Blind with him, this reunion episode yesterday, like to refresh my mind. And he was like, "Oh, this show is so messy." And I was like, "Yes, let me show you a great example because in season 3, they were being so mean to this guy, so mean to him. His fiance was saying all these things, accusing him of depriving her of food and commenting on her weight and she goes, you single-handedly demolished my self-worth. Just for at the end of the reunion to them to show a clip of an interaction of them where he is just acting completely normal and she took everything he said out of context. And so
Oh yeah,
like it
you sent
sucks
me
when they do
that clip
that.
before.
Oh yeah, I have. And so like I hated that about the reunion because it's like this is not beneficial to us right now. You're showing us this argument after the fact. But this time they actually showed us a lot of receipts.
They
Didn't really
did.
address as much as I'd like for some people, but for the most
No.
part they yeah. And then all the other couple, it's cute. It's good to see you guys. I don't remember half of them. Micah, I don't know where she's from. Gianna, I think she's from the first season. She looks different now that she's pregnant. I mean, during the montage of all of them, I should have paid attention. I definitely looked at my phone during that part, but
Well, my thing is like, I feel like it was dumb that they did that
mhm.
because, one, personally, I've never watched a single season other than season 6, so I don't care about these people. I'm like,
Yeah.
cool. Um, but then also, I felt like this season was so good and there was so much drama, it had so many streams, like was talked about, I feel like more than a lot of seasons.
Hmm.
And they like killed the rhythm of the reunion by focusing on season 6 and then randomly pivoting to a couple from the past and like
Yeah.
trying to ask them questions. And then it
Yeah.
was just like they're asking these people so many questions, yet Jimmy and Chelsea, I feel like barely got any questions, and they were a main focal point of drama throughout the
Yeah.
entire season.
I forgot that Kenneth and Brittany were there.
I did too. They barely spent any time, and I wanted to know
None.
more about
I
them.
wanted to know more. We needed to hear more from Kenneth about a lot of things, and they just
Yeah. And
did
I mean,
not.
I like that they focused a lot on Sarah Ann and Jeremy and Laura and all that, but
Yeah,
I do kind of feel like they spent a little too much time.
I agree.
Like, I like
Yeah,
that they did it, but it was just a bit much,
a
but
bit
you know.
much. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, and even how they went about it was just like weird. But
yeah.
do you want to start with them?
Yeah, let's start with them.
So Jeremy is present. Laura is remote on Zoom from Spain, I think.
Yeah, she's working. Work always comes
She's
first.
working. She said work always comes first. And then they go, Jeremy, are you single? No, I'm actually in a relationship. Well, let's see who
With my
Jeremy's in.
Hawaiian shirt. Ah. Just kidding, Sarah Ann.
They're like, let's see who's he's in a relationship with. Like, y'all don't even need to do that. You could have had Sarah Ann come out. We already knew she was coming. So Sarah
right?
Ann walks out, they sit down together and they
Looking
start
like toddlers in tiaras. That was, and look, I think Sarah Ann's very pretty.
hmm
I don't know if her personality is the most like, but physically she's very pretty.
hmm
And she just, the body glitter, the hair,
Yeah, it was very much like I'm going to prom in
the hot pink
2008.
dress. I'm like, where are you going?
The Pepto-Bismol dress.
It was too much, but
Way too
he
much.
showed
Way too
up.
much. Yeah. They showed up, and so they start rehashing some stuff. I think the first series of questions was more about like the actual incident that happened. Like
Hmm.
they're trying to kind of assert still that they didn't sleep together. Nothing happened when they first got together at 5 a.m.,
Yeah.
what have you. And then Laura is giving her piece and they're like, Laura, what do you think about that? And she's like, I don't think anything about it. They're both disgusting. And I was like, she's a queen.
Drag them, Laura.
She's giving everything we thought she would give.
My thing is just like with the whole like staying out till 5 a.m. thing,
hmm
inappropriate in general, given the like fact that he's engaged to Laura and it's Sarah Ann.
hmm
But it's also like, I feel like people are forgetting he lied.
Yes.
Had he not lied and been like, oh, I stayed in the parking lot the whole time, even though knowing he
Mhm.
drove Sarah Ann home. Okay.
Yeah.
He lied. So
You
that's what
lied.
really caused the issue with not only him,
hmm
but also Sarah Ann. So it's
hmm
just like I feel like no one's really pointing that out, and we need to like Jeremy,
Yep.
it's because you lied,
Right,
did all
right.
this.
Yeah, and I think Nick tried to ask him. He was like, but I didn't lie intentionally. And I was like, how does that one work? Because usually with someone doesn't tell the truth, they're just not telling the truth. Like, how did you not lie intentionally? I think he's trying to maybe say he omitted some information.
Lied by omission, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, you
If that's
still
not
lied.
a school of Sandoval
Right.
lying, where it's like, we
She didn't
didn't
want to
have the
know.
affair with bad intentions. It's like, what?
It's bad. You can't
What do
you
you mean?
can't do bad things with good intentions. You're
There
intending
was
to
no ill intentions. We weren't
uh-uh.
malicious. It's like, what?
Uh-uh.
A 7 month affair? You're not malicious? Stupid.
Make it make sense.
Uh,
Yeah. And so he's trying to be like, oh yeah, I didn't intend, and then the whole like story, like when it kind of confused me when they were like, she's like, I was waiting inside, and he was like, no, I came inside, and I was like, I don't know what this has to do with anything. Like, who
it
came
was
home first, and what that I didn't get why they were trying to explain that.
Yeah, I don't know. He was trying to make a sticking point, like you weren't waiting for me, but I think she even said she was like, I went to bed and then came downstairs. Like, what?
I
I
don't
don't
know what that
know.
had to do with anything. I guess he was trying to say like, oh, I came home and came straight to you to tell you what happened. And she's like, no, you didn't.
Jeremy.
So that was the first thing they hashed out. And then the next thing they hashed out is the lake conversation. So we get to see Laura and Sarah Ann have a conversation at the lake,
Mhm.
which was actually not bad.
It
Um,
wasn't. She seemed more apologetic,
yes.
but I do agree when Laura was like, it felt like you were asking my permission and advice on how to date him, which is
Yeah.
also true.
Yeah, it definitely seemed that way. And she's just like, be careful, girl, just be careful. And yeah, so it's funny because Sarah Ann in this moment is coming correct. She's like saying sorry. She's saying, I didn't think the text message was going to be a big deal because I know you and she was like, you're a very confident person. I just thought that you wouldn't think it was a certain type of way, but I understand why you did. Like she's like kind of explaining herself,
Hmm.
which doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? You've known Laura for 10 days maybe, and you think that she'd be cool with you talking to her. Maybe ask permission first. Hey, I want to send Jeremy a message. What do
And
you
that's
think?
what Jessica said on Bio Files because
Mm-hmm.
Nick was like, he kept trying to make the point, like, well, it is an experiment and why should her experience end? To which I say, because she wasn't picked and Laura was. So now your experiment's over and
Right.
now Laura's continues. But
Exactly.
regardless, Jessica made the point to say, had she just like reached out to Laura and be like, oh, I still need a little closure. Like, would you mind if I reach out? Like,
Mm-hmm.
having that courtesy, but she didn't do it.
Right. Right. So, um, Laura was pretty much saying like you had a long time to like come and talk to me and apologize to me. It's been a year and I haven't heard from you except for that day at the lake. And like this was my real
You call me a
relationship.
pick me girl? You're a pick me girl.
I don't even know what sparked that. I think what I'm talking about right now is something different. But at some moment,
There was some random moment I couldn't remember when, but she was just like, "You're a
I
pick
watched that
me."
like it was stupid. I watched it like twice and I'm like, what is she upset about? And I guess Sarah Ann was upset because Laura was talking bad about her to Jeremy in the pods apparently.
I guess she
And
called her
then
a pick me, but I
and
would
she
be
called
like,
her a pick me.
I don't know if I would trust Jeremy.
Right? And it's not Laura who comes. Jessica is like a third party judge in a lot of these relationships
She
during the
is.
reunion. And Jessica is like, "We knew you would have your moment, have your moment."
Have your moment. Have your moment.
And they're yelling
Have
at each
it.
other and I'm like, I really feel like Sarah Ann came to fight. She's like, I'm not. And I'm like, girl, I don't know where any of this energy is coming from. Laura is literally being so calm. And so I think this was after the disgusting comment. She was like, and you had the nerve to talk bad about
Oh, you
me
know what it
in the
was?
pods.
It's because she called Jeremy a clown. And
Oh, she
Sarah
did.
Ann was like, let me put my pick me cape on. Whoop, and let me defend him. You want
Yeah.
to call him a clown? You're a pick me. It's like, okay, girl.
And that was so stupid too. And then Sarah Ann starts playing the victim and she's like, you saw me crying in the pods and you didn't comfort me or something. I think she was saying this to Jessica.
Yeah, and
Jessica saw her crying in the
I
pods.
guess she's upset because she feels like the girls bullied her because they removed her from
Girl.
a group chat. And then this is when Chelsea really took the reins on this reunion in a way I didn't expect. And she just goes, that's because you unfollowed all us on Instagram, but still followed our fiancés. So that was kind of weird. I was like,
No,
whoop, Megan,
not
stop.
Meg. Whoa, Megan. That's so
Megan.
funny. Who else does she look like? Someone named Renee. Natalie. Natalie.
Oh, Natalie
Natalie.
Nunn?
Natalie not. So they have this moment where the girls are going back and forth and they're like, Sarah Ann, come on, girl. And then yeah, she starts talking over people again, and Jessica's pretty much like, no one can resonate, no one can relate to you more than me. Like, we just feel like it was inappropriate that you messaged this man who you know is engaged and didn't choose you. And, Sarah Ann was still trying to defend herself until this conversation happens where Laura is like, this was my real life. This was my real relationship. My grandma had tickets to come to my wedding. My family had tickets. He hugged my dog. I was like, your dog must be really important to you that it made the list with grandma and family.
Right. He said hi to my dog. It's like, okay.
He met my dog. My dog bonded with him. My dog imprinted on him.
My dog imprinted on him. My dog has a crush on him. And you just left.
You just left. And so then Sarah Ann is like, I did not mean, it was not my intent. And is like being teary-eyed. And I was like, girl, pick a mood. Pick one. Pick one. Because you guys they could have gone about all of this differently. The end is how they should have came in. They're both apologetic by the end.
This is true, but for entertainment purposes, I'm glad they didn't. What did
Yeah.
Sarah Ann say in her video? We're here to entertain, baby.
Oh,
And I'm like,
yeah.
you're so
So
cringe.
that was next. They production is like Laura has a bone to pick with you. The girls have a bone to pick with you. Production has a bone to pick with you. Production is like, what are you talking about? This is all a game. Like, what are you saying? Like, were you doing this for entertainment? And she's like, my feelings for Jeremy are real. And Nick is like, girl, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about production. We don't care about
Production.
Jeremy. Like, are you saying that like your experience was fake or whatever? And she's like clarifying that, and she's like, well, I guess I was doing that to entertain. And I was like, oh girl,
Oh,
I don't
Sarah
know,
Ann.
you can't say something and then double down right away. You gotta pick. So
I
you
think
gotta pick a
she made that
lane.
video to get people, because I think what she was trying to say was, y'all don't see everything and it's like
Yeah.
edited. But instead, what she said was trying to act like it was fake. And it was like, I
Yeah.
don't, okay.
And then
Anyway,
the whole baby thing, I was like, is that how you talk? This is scripted.
this is scripted.
She's like, and we won, baby. And then I'm like, is that the end of the video? Is
I
there
wanted to
more she said?
die. I was like, no.
And then Vanessa is like, oh, boo, I forgot. I was just thinking about it and I forgot.
Vanessa is
Oh,
like, you may think this is two different pieces to this dress, but it's actually one. It's sparkly silver and it's black on top and has a weird cut, but I promise it's just one dress. We're like, we know, Vanessa. And guess what? We still don't like it.
you're so funny. I don't even remember what she was wearing.
Uh,
That's so funny. Now I have to look it up. Oh, but part of her, I think when she's talking about the Instagram post or the TikTok, she is explaining like, we had a lot of scenes that you guys didn't see. And Vanessa's like, yeah, because you weren't engaged to him.
They're not going to show it because guess what? It's not part of the story. What did I say last week
Yeah.
when they were like, Brittany and Kenneth were like, oh, they didn't show all the good parts or something. It's like, yeah, because that didn't support the end result. They
It
want to, they
didn't.
need to complete a story. So they're
Hmm.
going to show all the things that, and obviously, y'all had moments. You were in his top two. Like, we got
Right.
it. We don't
Right.
care, but we got
Right.
it.
It's funny though because they did show a lot of Jessica and Jimmy and their love triangle, and Jessica wasn't messing at the end, so maybe that was her point. But because it's coming from Sarah Ann, we don't have to listen. We
Well,
can
I
all
think,
be justified in
well, because
like
Jessica was interesting. And she's
watch their
good.
pod sessions be like so basic and boring.
Right. And she's gonna be on that perfect match show.
They gotta set it up. They
So
have
they gotta
they have
like
other goals, Sarah
the
Ann. Other
audience needs to
goals.
get to know Jessica, love her, so that when they
Hmm.
see her in perfect match, they choke and they need their EpiPen
EpiPen.
ready for their airways when they see her. Gotta love
So
her.
funny. But that was essentially Sarah Ann's time. And yeah, they end with apologizing. Okay, so I have a side story. So remember how I told you that Jeremy is from the same county as me?
Yes.
Well, my brother knew him.
Ah!
Like personally. So
You're
this is why I
lying.
was watching Love is Blind with my brother because my brother was like, Maggie, because he knows we did the podcast. My brother listens to our podcast.
Ah!
He's like, oh, I went to school with Jeremy. Yeah, I went to high school with him. And it's so crazy that like the internet is hating him like I knew him. And so we're watching like the scenes and stuff because I showed him everything leading up to the reunion. I showed him the like interaction where Laura first interrogates him and then the like reunion where all the couples got together at the barbecue lake thing.
Yeah.
And every like when Jeremy would talk, he's like, "Yep, that sounds like him." Yeah, that sounds like him. Like that
This
is just
tracks.
like him. And he hated Laura. He's like, oh, that girl's annoying. Oh, she's so mean. She's so
Oh,
this. And I was like, for real? And I was like, is she mean? Like, is she? He's like not being nice. And she's like, but like, who wants to be met with so much hostility? So I kind of get it. I think he
like in the
deserves it
scene where she confronted him.
when she confronted him and at the lake when she was like kick rocks with no socks,
I
all that
mean,
stuff, like
those are
you were
the
supposed to
I
protect
support her
me, you know.
hostility.
Or even like how Jeremy was like, I wanted to send you flowers, I wanted to apologize, when he was like, who can work with that? My brother was like, yeah. And I was like, for real?
I'm
So
like, he's a liar. Maggie's brother, don't do this.
don't stand for him. And then even after the reunion, I mean, he didn't agree with like the whole like being up all night thing, but like just Laura's reaction was just intense. And he is like, that girl is scary. And so I was like, I get it. She's gonna come for your neck
I
when you
mean,
when you don't treat her right.
she's scary, yet right. So there's that.
And then like I think we watched more of the reunion and I don't know if you noticed but like Jeremy would like try to tell a joke and interject or whatever and he also said that that's like very fitting of his personality. Like he's just trying to be a goofy guy, kind of like woo people with his humor. Like that's his personality.
But he's not
And he's
funny.
just like, "Oh, it's so crazy that my like friend is being bullied online. I don't think they're friends anymore, but
I
yeah.
hope not.
This was like probably 12 years ago now that they
Okay.
went to
It
school
was an
together, so
old
it's been a while.
Jeremy, you
The
know?
old Jeremy, not the current Jeremy,
Uh, but
not the
before
current
their
messy one.
segment ended, remember one of our favorite moments when Vanessa was like, "Who's hung out with Jeremy since?" And Chelsea is just like, "I'm gonna win this reunion." She just goes, "I have," and every time I see him, y'all are broken up.
and and here's Sarah Ann
She's like, "Yeah." But then she
nodding in
looks like
agreement.
sad. And he's like, "I've only seen you once." And she's like, "I've seen you twice. And both times you said y'all aren't together."
And
And
that's
I'm
how you
like,
know Jeremy is a liar because he'll double down. He's like, win, whatever. We have broken up, so start with that.
right? Like,
Not you getting
we've gone
defensive.
through real life relationship stuff. And I'm like, well, what's the relationship stuff that you've broken up multiple times?
Yeah, that's wild. And that is actually just like Jeremy to like make light of something that's hella serious. Like, oh, yeah, I don't know where she is. We're not together right now. It's been 10
Yeah.
months. It's been 10 months and y'all broke up twice and now you're living together. If they get married, I will be very
Sounds sus.
surprised. And
I will
also,
too.
Sarah Ann had a couple of moments where she's like, I fell in love. And she like looks at him and he's not giving her anything. No smile, no reassuring pat on the knee. Like he is just done. Either, tired of the public mockery of everything, or just but like there's no like public reciprocation of this relationship that's so deep that you needed to do all this. And
Yeah.
I mean, the show's not about their relationship, so I get it. But I was just like, he could have even just did something reassuring. Like, he didn't even in his defense of like his actions, never explained why he needed to be with Sarah Ann. You know what I mean? He never like
Yeah.
publicly says, I loved her. I just realized we have a deeper connection for XYZ reasons. He's just like, yeah, I picked her.
She
That's it.
tolerates my bullshit, unlike Laura. But you know what? As Laura said, he's a fucking clown robot and he can kick rocks with open-toed shoes.
Yes, yes, he can.
Who was next on the docket? I'm done with these people.
Poor Trevor.
Oh.
Trevor. Nick is like, I don't know what he said, but they brought out Trevor. And Trevor came out.
Who's in his best Sam's Club outfit?
He was in his best youth pastor outfit,
Macy's
minus an
clearance.
iPad or Bible. I don't know. And I'm just like, I know guys who are buff need like bigger clothes, but his are like two times too big. Like
Yeah, like I felt like in the pods he had like clothes that fit. I don't know what it was with like this
no.
one.
Oh my gosh. Every time, well, I don't remember Podge Trevor, but every time after that, he looks a mess. I
He
saw him on
does.
Instagram and he's like wearing a t-shirt and sweatpants. And I'm like, do you have normal, like nice clothes, like moderately nice clothes?
Probably
I don't
not.
remember him in the pods though. So he probably did, but I don't remember.
But
But anyway, he
he
came
came
out.
out and he said a whole lot of nothing.
So Nick was like, Trevor, uh, at one point, people were saying, protect Trevor at all costs. And then we heard someone posted messages between you and them, an ex of yours, saying that you were together during this experience. Can you please explain? And he proceeds to say nothing. It was
They
so long.
It was because they showed the text and it's like, I love you. This is all fake. I love you. And he's
The
just
whole
like,
thing. Yeah, like he
uh,
just sat there for like I thought several minutes went by. When I watched it again, it wasn't that long. But in the moment, I was like, geez.
I had something I wanted to say, but can I leave? Like, Trevor, go down.
For
I hate
real.
you.
He's
Oh my
so
God.
full of it.
He was
And
trying to
it's just,
say, what was it? Like, oh, we weren't official because I didn't officially ask her to be my
yeah,
girlfriend.
it wasn't his girlfriend, but he wanted to marry her. And she knew he was going on the show and could potentially marry someone else. But once he left, he realized that he wanted to be with her, but it was toxic. Blase, blase. But then, so Nick and Vanessa are like having like a bedtime story for all of us. It's late. They're reading line for line for line. And yeah, at the end, after he like gets his phone back, he's like, we're gonna get married. which is crazy because that's what he was supposed to be doing here is finding someone to
He wanted
marry.
to propose to Chelsea.
Yeah. And then I saw other messages. Now I don't know if they're fake. I don't even remember the source. It was probably some TikTok page where it showed other messages where he was essentially saying like even if proposed to somebody, I still wanted to marry you. So that's
I
what
think I
everybody
had
is.
saw that too
You saw that
somewhere.
too?
I think so.
Okay.
That sounds familiar.
Okay, so it must have been real. I don't know why they wouldn't include it.
It probably got resurfaced late. Who knows? They were showing all the receipts. They were just like, and then Chelsea was like kind of trying to go easy on him because I mean, I get it. He looked like he was gonna like
Cry.
deteriorate. And she's
Oh
just like,
gosh.
look, I'll just say that something told me to say no to you, some
Hmm.
intuition, and then that's why.
Yeah.
It's
And
clear.
it doesn't add up because in the podcast interview we watched, she mentions this too, and she said something to the effect of like, um,
He
she
always
had
talked
weird,
about clout and
yeah,
like the attention they would get.
right, like production and stuff. And so then it became weird because Vanessa asks him, "Are you trying to further your career?" And he's like, "What career?" But then, like, Chelsea didn't say yes to you because you talked about production and the show so much.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know. I think he did want clout and maybe didn't think anyone would find out.
He wanted to be like that guy that chops wood on TikTok that everyone thirsts over.
And
He's
he
like, I'll
could have
be
did
like him.
that.
Well, I think also his main flaw was people were rooting for him. And then also afterwards, he would make TikToks about how he's like the good guy.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, you're actually like debatably the worst or one of the worst. You're up there with Jeremy. You have
You're up
Jeremy
there,
by your
Jimmy.
side comforting you. Like, you're
Hmm.
not well. This
Not
isn't
well.
good.
You're not in the ranks to
No,
be
you are
America's
not in the
next.
ranks. I
You're
have
not in the
one
runnings
photo
to
in my
become.
hand, and guess what?
It's not
It's not
yours.
yours. We were all rooting for you. How
And
dare
so
you?
it's so funny because like they are showing and while Trevor's talking, you see Brittany and Brittany's just like aghast, just hands over mouth, like, wow, Trevor, for real. And so he says his piece, Chelsea says his piece, and Nick is just like, hey, it's not fair. It's not fair to everybody who comes out here and is actually trying to be in a relationship. Like it's not fair that came on
Yeah.
here knowing that and it's not fair to that girl either, which is probably why all of these text messages have come out.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in his grand scheme he didn't think that she would expose him online.
It's
I
like
would have.
that was a big risk.
Yeah. And
That
and
was
was it the mom or was the mom Jeremy's thing?
I
Someone's
think the
mom.
mom was Jeremy's thing. The
Yeah.
mom of the ex-fiance.
Okay.
Because
I we didn't
Jeremy
talk
had
about
his
that.
own thing, but it was like
Yeah.
he was engaged 2 weeks before. He was accused of applying um while engaged, but he said he was
Yeah.
scouted. I don't know why he would be scouted, but maybe. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a little murky, so it's kind of like of all the offenses, okay, like
Yeah.
whatever.
And I guess he was transparent with Sarah and Laura about it. My
Yeah.
thing, going back to Jeremy, my thing is, I think it's a red flag when someone jumps from committed relationship to committed relationship.
Oh yeah.
I know that there's a phase in adulthood when people are trying to date with a purpose, and that's why relationships can be long. But if you just broke a proposal, you might want to take some time to reflect, be single,
Hmm.
take, remember who you are, remember why you were dating, what your goals are. I don't know. Touch base with yourself. You must not have been that upset about this ending of a proposal.
Yeah. It also, I guess, depends how it ends, because that made me think, Vanderpump Rules.
Oh,
Ariana kind
yeah.
of quickly jumped into a relationship, but Tom did cheat on her for 7 months. So I get her hating him, but I do
Yeah.
feel like she needed time. I think she got with a new guy because she needed someone for like
Yeah.
support,
Yeah.
and he seems nice, but I don't know. Who really knows?
It kind of feels like a rebound a little bit. They were
Yeah,
together for so long and they low-key still live together.
they
There's like a
do.
lot there. But
Vanderpump Rules
I,
was a different breed. I'm
it is
like,
a different breed.
y'all are
And
different
and and
people.
and that's my see, that's my thing is like if I was just engaged to somebody, I would probably take a break. But to each his own, you're single, you can do whatever you
Yeah, you
want, you
never know,
know?
I guess. But
Yeah.
Jeremy is just a red flag in general. So him jumping around like that, it's like,
It's rough. It's
I
rough.
don't know. But after Trevor
Yeah.
says nothing, Nick
He's
is
like, "Can
like,
I leave?"
Nick is like, you can go. And then he
Yeah.
just leaves.
Yeah. Poor I kind of felt bad for him, but
Yeah.
I mostly didn't.
Yeah. It was like for a second, and then it's like, you're dumb.
Yeah, like my here's my thing. If this is like the sweetly seasoned thing, we talked about this a couple weeks ago. When you are wrong, own it, and we will
Hmm.
respect you for it. If
Yeah.
you can, like, even Jeremy, if you can just be like, look, I know I'm wrong. Because even the whole, like, oh, Laura was being mean to me, that's her reaction. You
Yeah.
you can't like dictate how she responds. Even Clay said that he reached out to AD a couple times and had to wait. She didn't want to talk to him, right? But he
Hmm.
didn't say, "Oh, let me go jet ski with your
Let me
best
jet
friend."
ski with Sarah Ann.
Right? Like that takes time, you know what I mean? So it's
Hmm.
like if you make a mistake, own it and we can respect you for it. But to double down, to skirt around, it's like just own it. Because the more you do that, the more people are like, you're full of it. Like Sarah Ann, if she led with an apology, it's like, okay, we get it. You know, it was completely even Jessica was like, this wasn't my best moment, and I get it. So I
Yeah.
don't even think Trevor needed to be like that, but he's just like, and it's like,
I don't know. He was the worst.
he was the worst. So then they moved, I think, to AD and Clay.
Oh, yes. AD
Yeah.
looking amazing. She was my best dressed.
Her dress was great. I did see a small wardrobe malfunction, but those lights are bright, so we'll give it a rest.
What'd you see?
I think I pointed it out to you too. She had like silicone nipple
Oh,
coverings,
yeah.
and when the camera got super close, you could see them. But it wasn't that bad. I was
It
like, okay,
wasn't. I felt like it went with the dress kind of. So
it
I
did.
was like, okay.
It was cute. It was cute.
Yeah.
Clay looked nice. But we and the rest of America noticed. I don't know if he just got back surgery or something, but he just looked so weird. And his kneecaps are so small. His legs are so small.
He skips
I'd
leg
never
day.
he's and we never saw his legs before, but they're incredibly small. Like,
He looks
I
like
don't
he
know.
had like, I don't know, like a shock collar or something on that was like if he says the wrong thing, someone's gonna hit the button and then he's gonna be like he looks so worried. I was like,
Yeah. It was like hand on a knee, hand on the side, back straight, and he's just like shifty eye. Like when they're showing AD's reaction, Clay's just like looking around. It's like, what is happening?
And
Are
AD's
you
just like,
okay, Clay?
you good?
They're asking AD about Matthew, and he's just like looking around. I'm like, Clay, why do you look
uh,
like that?
that was
Who hurt
wild
you? Are
that
you
she went on
okay?
a couple dates with him, though I'm not surprised.
I am.
I mean, I could see wanting like being interested in being like, like what are
Really?
you like? I mean, I don't know. I could imagine coming out of the pods and being left at the altar. You're kind of like, let's
Yeah.
just see with Matthew. And
That's true.
then
And we didn't see their dynamic a lot. Like we only saw maybe there was a real connection there.
yeah, and I think they only had like two dates and she was like, we're too different, but whatever. He apologized. So like,
Yeah. Um, so what did they go through? They went through the Matthew thing.
yes.
They showed receipts that Matthew did tell her and Amber. I think it's so funny they both have the same name.
They
Amber and
do.
Amber, the same conversation. They showed receipts for that, which was kind of cool to see. I mean, it wasn't
Amber was
verbatim the
not
same thing.
AI. Amber was not a
Amber was
producer
real.
plant, as I had previously thought. It's okay.
I wish we could watch Love is Blind one episode at a time because the cliffhangers they could get you anywhere. Like
I know, right?
I loved your theory. It was funny. So they brought up the Matthew thing and then they talked about the day at the altar and AD was just talking about how upset she was and Clay was just talking about like how bad he felt for everything and he kind of got a little emotional. which was just the whole thing was it was a little off-putting to me, but
She was like, "Why are you crying?"
and then she got upset too because she even got emotional while she was talking about it. So
Yeah.
it was a lot, but she was just like, I loved him. I would have done anything for him. And he was like, AD's the love of my life. I definitely made a mistake. And then they asked him, like, they asked him something.
It was like, "Would you take her? Like, would you date her now or something?"
Oh,
And
yeah,
then
yeah,
he goes, "Yes," and she's like, "Nuh-uh." And then that's when
yes,
she kind of turns a little. She's like, "I feel like you're fucking playing with me right now because if you
yeah.
did want me, we'd be married." And he's like, "But I do want to marry you." And she's like, "Then why aren't we married?" And
Yeah. No, no,
like,
no. She said if you wanted me, you would have married me.
mm-hmm.
And then she was like, yeah, why didn't you? And
Yeah,
then he just starts talking about like, oh, I just didn't feel ready. I didn't feel like as a man. And I wish he would clarify why he wasn't ready. I still think Clay was a cheater because he
oh
was also
yeah,
talking about like, oh, when you look at yourself on a show, it's like you're having a mirror to your life. And he was like, I felt like I was getting diagnosed on the show. All valid. I just wanted to know what his hangup really was because he basically said, I didn't feel like I was good enough. I didn't feel like I was man enough. I knew I needed to go to therapy. And then that's when he started getting emotional, like, and I'm so sorry I hurt you. I'm sorry to your family, all this stuff. And then it's like, tears never fall. He just got choked up for a second.
you know. Which he's just like, because I remember watching the wedding, it was like literally leading up until the moment he said no. It seemed
Mm-hmm.
like he was going to say yes. And AD was just on the Vile Files, looking great.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't spill too much tea. She kind of was saying how like the edit was pretty accurate in regards to her and Clay.
Mm-hmm.
And like things she learned was just kind of like to take people for what they like show you and
Mm-hmm.
tell you and not what they could be. And she says
Mm-hmm.
she's single, even though her and Claire are kind of flirty friends. But
Claire?
Clay,
Oh, yes.
who's Claire?
I thought you said her and Claire. I was like, she's dating a girl? That's cool.
I mean, honestly, that would be a twist. Um,
Plot twist.
plot twist. But she did say like, because I guess they had had multiple conversations about whether or not they'd get married,
Yeah.
and he would keep saying like, "No, I want to." Like, he might like show a little
Yeah.
like trepidation or just like I'm not sure, but then he would be like, "No, I want to, like I want to do this, da 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 da."
Yeah.
And he said it like multiple times. And then he was
Hmm.
like, "One thing I will never do is embarrass you like that." And then he did.
Yeah. He
And it's
proceeded to
like, that's
embarrass her.
crazy.
Yeah, and then she said that he really thought afterwards that they would date. And she's like, even after I told him that if you say no, I'm done. And so,
Men don't
yeah,
listen.
they don't. And we talked about this last week. We're like, I really think Clay was just on a different plane because he was talking like, I'm gonna go to therapy. I want to work it out with you. We'll figure this out together. But his actions, like, he didn't know that she wasn't there with him. She's like, no, we're not doing this again. Well, I look like marrying you twice,
Right?
planning a wedding with you twice. That's embarrassing.
That is. And so I see some people on Twitter trying to be like, oh, AD folded, like da 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 da, she's still with him. And it's just like, I think, she went off on him. She said some things. Like, she doesn't need to like hate the guy. Like they did
Yeah.
share a moment. And then
Yeah.
I will say she's supposed to be on another podcast. Kami Crawford, I think is her name.
Okay.
Something like that. But she does get asked about the Thanksgiving, like the video where it shows 80s with Clay.
Yeah.
So I
Okay,
bet
we'll have more then.
we'll have a little more to say after that. I think it
Yeah.
comes out this week.
Okay. Yeah, I'm curious like why they were together for that.
Yeah.
And then Clay was like on Instagram saying like why would you trust a white network? And I was like that's a choice.
That was a statement.
Yeah, like what are you saying? They are trying to portray you a certain way. You definitely acted. I mean, I don't know how you can, you know, not say no to
This is where we
her.
just nod and say, okay, Clay.
Somebody in the comments was like, but I watched it with my black eyes. And I was like, Clay, nobody's believing you.
No,
Nobody's
Clay,
believing you.
no. No, Clay,
No,
no.
that's not the move. They asked him like how things are going with his family, and it sounds like nothing has changed, which tracks.
Right. And I will say AD said one thing where she was like,
Oh yeah.
oh, like respectfully, I don't want to be like your mom.
Hmm.
And I'm like, that's a valid point because the mom's great, but she did, she went through a lot with the dad and all that. So, like,
I thought at first that she was saying like I don't want to be your mom, like I don't want to be a mom to you. But
mm-hmm.
I think she meant what you just said, which
Or
is
maybe
deep.
both. Maybe it was a double meaning.
Yeah,
AD's quick with it. So I'm
she
like, she
is.
probably meant both.
Honestly, I'm surprised Clay took that. That would have kind of made me mad.
A little bit. I would have been like,
Yeah,
wait a
like
minute.
he's literally like my biggest fear is to cheat on you. And she's like, well, I would hate to. It's like his biggest insecurity is to like be unfaithful. And here she goes saying, like, yeah, that would really suck if you ended up doing that. It's like when somebody's already like down on themselves about something, you make them feel worse. But
Right.
hey, all power to her.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, what did you think? Did you think he was sincere? I mean, like, I'm sure he was sincerely emotional. Like, that sucks. Like, some guys actually do care when they hurt people.
Yeah, he did seem sincere. He seemed down. Like
Yeah,
he seemed like something was wrong, and I think he's realizing what he missed, but I
yeah.
don't think AD should get back with him by any
Really?
means.
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
not anytime soon.
Um, I have a feeling that if this didn't happen in front of the whole world, they may be able to work it out. Because I also feel like the
Yeah,
public opinion and the peanut gallery is like, girl, he just played you, you know? But like,
yeah.
it just yeah, honestly, no, you're right. How it happened is stupid. You the go to therapy, I don't care, but your listening skills failed and you showed me that. I told you don't do these things and you did all of them, not just one. You did several.
You
I
did
told you not to
everything wrong.
embarrass right. I told you not to embarrass me, you embarrassed me. I told you if you're going to say no, I'm not going to be with you and you're over here expecting me to be with you. So like, you know, he
Yeah,
he made too many mistakes.
he did.
Fumbled the bag. AD is great. Anything else from her Vile Files interview? She did say something about Chelsea. I'll talk to it when we talk. I'll mention it when we talk about Chelsea.
Not really. It was interesting when she said because she was also scouted, and I guess at the time she was working at her ex's nightclub, and he
Mm,
answered the call. I guess they called the club, and he was like,
yeah,
"Oh, like we're together, da 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 da." But
that's
they had been
crazy.
broken up for like months or something. So she like called
Yeah,
the lady back and was like, "That's wild. We're not. I'll be on the show."
yeah, yeah. I thought that was crazy. I was like, oh, he has some nerve. I hope you don't work there anymore.
I think she
I
doesn't,
also
which is good.
Okay. Yeah, I think she's trying to like see I could really see AD like working from one of these companies like ET, like kind of be like on a Taylor from
Oh,
Big
Taylor
Brother kind
Hale.
of out.
Yeah, do some interviews.
And
She needs to
take
start a
off that
YouTube
way.
channel. She needs to vlog. She
She
needs
needs
to
to do
jump in her
something.
influencer bag.
And I will support whatever she does. I followed
Same.
her. I'm following her. I think I'm following Laura. I think those are the only two people
Laura.
I'm those
And
are
you
the only
follow
two.
Jessica as well. She's always
Oh, I
coming
think I
across
follow
my
her
For You
too.
page.
Yeah.
But
So that's
should we
them.
get Amy and Johnny out of the way?
Sure. Yeah, let's get Amy and Kenneth too. Let's get them out of the way too.
Amy and Johnny, they're happy.
They're
Uh,
doing great.
Johnny learned about birth control
Yes.
and the effects it can have on a woman.
Yes. And
It
she
seemed like he was
educated him.
actually receptive and just like, oh, I didn't know, and they educated me. It's like, okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And but they're going strong. They had a funny, quirky video of them cooking, and it's like he
Aww.
put her hands in between his arms, and it was just like, oh, it's supposed to be his hands. Ah! They were
I
cooking,
was like, this is the one you want to show us?
and
When
I'm
they were
like,
like playing like I don't they were playing something in the house and then he was like chasing her or something and I was like that would have been cuter than this,
yeah.
but
I
whatever.
will say their photos. Was it in Paris?
But
I
yeah,
think
yeah, they went to
those
yeah,
pictures were beautiful. I
they
was
were
like,
great.
those are really nice.
Even the family photos from Christmas together, all of them in a little circle and stuff. I was like, y'all are too
Yes.
cute.
It was nice. It just seems nice. Like
Yeah,
the experiment worked.
it
Yay.
did.
But you
Yeah.
know who didn't
I,
work on? Brittany and Kenneth.
It didn't. I will say one more thing about
Oh
Amy and
yes.
Johnny. I do want to give them their flowers because I was looking back and I was like, I think I heard someone say it too. Like, these shows like to just focus on drama and we like kind of ignore healthy, happy relationships because it's not as entertaining. But
Why are you
like,
calling
we
us
can
out like that?
we can low-key learn something from them, like just how they complimented each other, just how they were both like independently themselves and accepted as themselves. Like their love was actually really cute, and I kind of wish production spent more time on it to kind of show us something good. Like, all right, we know it's trash TV, but we could spend a couple of minutes. Like, you know what I mean? Even their wedding was more about like their families and stuff. We didn't even really get to hear why they
That's
like each other, why they fell for each other. Like they cut it all out. I
yeah.
mean, their pod interactions were cute, but like we didn't really get to see like why does Johnny make Amy happy and vice versa. So I wish they spent a little time on it, but I think that their relationship is so cute. I wish them the best. I'm sure they're gonna
Same.
have kids later. Be happy. Because not right now he has a plan. He's
No,
trying to
not
retire
not right now. I
early.
have a plan right now. I have a plan right now, and like kids are not in the future right now.
And
So yeah.
I was like, you have a plan, but y'all are flying to France? How's that early retirement going? I just want to. People say stuff and then their lives just don't reflect it. Like talking about saving money and stuff, and then you bought a new car. And it's like,
We need to go to
how do you.
France. I'm
We
trying to go.
do.
You
We
got your
need to go
passport?
somewhere. Of course I do.
Okay,
I'm
well
going
some
to
people
Jamaica in the
don't.
summer.
Oh my gosh.
We got to go somewhere and vlog. That would be
We
fun.
do. That would be perfect. But you know who's not going anywhere together? Brittany and Kenneth. Well, maybe they would
Brittany and
because they're
Kenneth.
friends now. So
Yeah,
maybe?
I thought that was a little weird,
Yeah.
but it's also on
Um,
brand.
it is. I mean, they didn't really, I felt like they went a little easy on him,
Hmm.
but because like they addressed the phone usage, he says, well, the thing about me is I'm a middle school principal
And
and all
I was like,
this.
of course you would sit here
Like,
and defend yourself.
anyways, but Jessica on the Vile Files did say that apparently off camera, Brittany and Kenneth kind of had the talks about how it's kind of leading more towards a friendship.
Yeah.
And so when they did have that conversation on camera, he was kind of out of it because they already had it. So I think
Mm.
maybe he was disassociating a little bit,
Yeah.
which I guess I could see. And I mean,
Yeah.
that's good that they're friends.
Yeah. And some people were saying that they really felt like from his behavior that he was really just an introvert who needed some space. Like him being quiet on the boat during their honeymoon and stuff wasn't him like not wanting to be with her, but just like maybe him needing to like recharge a little bit. But he
Hmm.
is like a really nice guy and stuff, but he knows he's on his phone too much.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they didn't get into anything. I wanted to know like why it couldn't have been worked on. They didn't talk about that.
Yeah.
I
Get
I
into
want
why more you guys are just friends.
yeah. And then I wanted to know why they included that like sketchy phone call. Like, yeah, hey, I'm on my way. Like, what was
Yeah.
that about? So they didn't talk about
Nothing.
anything of value. There are a lot of rumors about Kenneth being gay,
Oh, yeah.
which
I
I
saw that
think
on
is
Twitter, I think.
I don't I don't
I
care.
mean, right, like it's no big deal. I don't know. It seems to be rumors because I think I saw something there was like a Facebook post, but I don't think it was confirmed. I don't know.
Yeah.
The internet's also a little
So
messy
that
with it.
they are. And I think I actually feel like this happened once. I kind of want to Brandon to just go back and watch Love Is Blind with you. But I feel like there was a season where someone's sexuality was questioned and Nick asked them. So I know
Okay.
they're not above
Yeah.
asking kind of like uncomfortable questions, but I mean it is still a weird question, so I get why they didn't ask him. But I guess I also heard like his cousin came out and said he was gay. I don't know. They're friends. They seem happy. We don't know why the crave wasn't there and why the crave couldn't have been worked on, but
We
that
need to
was
go to
essentially
Crave
it.
Cookie. Get some cookies.
Get some cookies. The whole best friends thing I think is a little weird.
A little. And yeah, because they even said they're like, we discussed how we're gonna talk about it if we start dating other people or
Yeah.
I don't know. It seemed a little, but you know what? Good for
Yeah.
them.
And they were asked, oh, well, maybe if you just had sex, it would have been made it better, maybe increase the
And
crave.
Brittany was like,
And
no, actually, that wouldn't because
she's like, that's just a supplement. And then they turned to AD, and I'm like, y'all are messy, messy,
AD's like,
messy. I was like, why are they look? Because AD made the comment about test driving. She's
Oh
like, we don't
yeah.
need to test drive. I don't need to test. And I was like, all right, girl,
Mm.
that's fine.
Sure, Brittany. Um, but go off. Be you. Y'all both seem great.
Yeah,
Um,
you're happy,
Jimmy and
healthy, great.
Chelsea, the last people, but I feel like they barely addressed anything with them.
It was more Jimmy and Jessica. They barely
It
spent any time on
was.
Jimmy and Chelsea. The only question they asked Chelsea is the Megan Fox thing. That was essentially Chelsea got to address Trevor, but they never asked Chelsea any direct questions about her relationship with Jimmy.
Hmm. And then
So I
they
thought it
kept
was
just
weird.
diving into like what really ended their relationship was her exposing the friend thing.
Oh yeah,
And
that's the
I'm
only thing.
like, that's stupid. And then they asked, like, was she crossing a line? And I think one person said yes. And then someone was like,
It was Jeremy. Jeremy raised his hand and was like, Jeremy, you're actually not here anymore.
shut up, Jeremy. And I think
I
I
think
forget
AD
who.
did too.
Yeah, someone did say like, well, it was what was bothering her, so she should be able to say
It
it.
was one of the past people, one of the past
Yeah. And
people on the show.
my thing, I would have been like, if he's bold enough to bring them on camera to meet her,
Yeah.
then he should be bold enough to talk about what really went down in that friendship.
Yeah, like I don't the whole thing is stupid because he said the friend was upset that he brought it up at all, which I think is kind of crazy. This is like someone I'm supposed to marry. You don't want me to tell
Yeah.
them that someone who I talk to regularly is someone I slept with. Like that's kind of important. Also, I guess the friend doesn't realize she's anonymous. If she comes out and says something, I'm gonna be so annoyed because like you're gonna out yourself and we literally don't know who you are.
I would
We
have
have
been like, who's
suspicions.
which friend? Is it the girl with the darker hair?
Can you imagine Nick pulling up the screen like these are the two friends from the bar scene?
Let's take a
Which is the
poll.
friend
Who do we think it was?
Nick was asking Jessica which friend it was during her Bio
Oh
Files
yeah, she's
interview.
like, I have my suspicions, but I won't say. And I'm like, very classy. Um,
Yeah, so that was really all that Chelsea and Jimmy like addressed. And I mean, Chelsea apologized for it. She's like, it was bothering me, so I wanted to talk about it.
yeah.
Do you want to get into her interview a little bit?
Yeah, because we got more insight from the interview because
Yeah.
I would like to point out in this interview,
Ah, I'm already upset about this.
so much was confirmed that I had suspected in past episodes. One moment in particular being that Jimmy would only say stuff on camera, and then off camera would be a different story. And
Hmm.
she would talk about how he would say things, but he wouldn't act to back it up. And I
Hmm.
feel like one of my main sticking points was he would say things, but there was like no feeling behind it. It was just like he was
Hmm.
saying it. And I speculated that off camera, maybe he was like a different person and he would just like turn it
Hmm.
on for the cameras. And you know what? I was right, per usual.
You were right. And I was 10 toes down, like, oh no, Chelsea's overreacting.
Jimmy's a
She's
good
insecure.
guy.
Jimmy's just trying his best. Maybe that's just his personality. And it turns out it's not. Well, according to damn, what's her name? Chelsea. According to Chelsea, that's how it was. And Jessica kind of corroborated this story because she was saying that Jimmy would say the right things and like would talk about how being he's a homebody and all this stuff, but then in reality he says something else. And honestly, now after the reunion, I really don't trust anything Jimmy he says because he tends to exaggerate.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
like another thing, which is why when they had like when she exposed on the show when she was drunk about the friend thing, I remember us watching it. We're like, why is she freaking out? Like, this seems like so non-consequential. Like, he went out for an hour for a friend's birthday. Well, it turns
Hmm.
out apparently he went out quite a few times.
Yeah.
And in particular, the time she got upset and what really led to this was he said he was staying home. He like stayed in the townhouse. He wanted to like just have the
Oh
night to
yeah.
himself. He said, "Oh
Hmm.
yeah, like we're not going anywhere." Then I guess he butt dials her, and then she hears him saying like with his friends, including the girlfriends, how, "Oh, what bar are we going to next? Like where are we going? Da 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 da." And then she confronted him, and he was just like, "It's not a big deal, babe." And it's just like that makes so much more sense
It
as because
does.
some of the stuff where she's like, I don't want someone who parties. Like, do you just like going out? And
Yeah.
I'm like, at first we were like, what are you talking about? And now it's like,
Hmm.
Oh,
He was going out like all the time. And no, like, why would you go through those efforts just to lie? She said he was laying in bed on the FaceTime, and then on the butt dial, it was off. So he got into bed to put on a show. Like, wow, Jimmy, you put a lot of effort. You could have just told her I'm going out.
yeah. And his haircut's too short.
I found Jimmy's lookalike. I was telling Brandon the
Oh,
other
yeah.
day.
The facial hair is a good move, though, but it's just like the sides are way
Mm,
too. It's better than before.
I haven't even noticed his facial hair. I don't know. I'm not like some things I catch on, some things I really don't. His lookalike is Gus from Recess. I was like, this is who Jimmy looks like. This is Jimmy's lookalike. Could you see it well, Brandon?
You could. It was funny because the ring light kind of went over his face, but you could still see it.
That's perfect.
Um, that's
That is his
not
look like.
inaccurate. It's not wrong. Oh, poor Jimmy, but not poor Jimmy.
Yeah.
Because plot twist though they didn't dive into Jimmy and Chelsea a lot, Jessica was like, I'm having my moment.
Yeah,
They're
Jessica
like,
was big mad.
Jessica, like, are you and Jimmy friends? Like, where do y'all stand? She's like, well, I thought we were, but
Jimmy's like,
turns
what
out
do
he
you
left his
mean?
EpiPen at home and lost his senses because he went on an interview. And he said that they edited me in my favor because they didn't
Hmm.
show the full confrontation, and that I walked out of our date after 10 minutes. And I just want to say, if an edit was in my favor, why did they show the wine date with Laura? Because that was not good. And I take ownership. In 10 minutes, we were there for an hour and 45. It felt like 10. I'll
Hmm.
give you 45 minutes, but it felt like 10. It felt like 10. Shows receipts. It was like 2 hours.
They like left at an hour, I think, in 40 minutes or something.
Came
And then
back
the
after
whole
8 minutes.
and then the whole date was like 2.5 hours. So at first I was like, why is she so mad? Because this isn't that deep. But I guess so I we listened to the interview. You got to listen to it too, right, Brendan?
The Jimmy one,
Yeah.
I would have, but I fell asleep.
Oh,
But
okay, okay.
but tell
So
me what
I'll
happened.
explain it. It's super short. But yeah, in that 10 minutes, how he was saying it was bad. He was like, oh yeah, Jessica got a really good edit. Yeah, like I don't think they really got to show like how aggressive she was being and why I made my decision with Chelsea. Yeah, she like stormed off on our date, was being really aggressive, and like I just when I met with Chelsea later, our conversation was so warm and so nice. And that's why I picked Chelsea because she met me with that warmth. But I liked Jessica's edit because it showed how she was. And he was like, Jessica like was so aggressive, it scared me. So he was really saying that like she's
He's
like
such
this
a little
aggressive
bitch.
person. He is. And I'm like, does she scare you or does she tell you the truth, Jimmy? Because like this whole like, oh, okay, because one thing they bring up is he was like, if you loved me, why didn't you say that? And like, if you were feeling this type of way, like why didn't you just let me know? And like, did you want me to say it first? And she's like, I did. I mean, not even just I love you. I wanted you to say something. And this is
Yeah,
something that Chelsea said about him too. He will like talk to you and affirm you, whatever, but he won't really share any depth of feeling or like any kind of like description of why he likes you. And that's just what they were looking for, which is valid. Like you are
yeah,
going deeper. He I guess he was just keeping it a little too surface level. So even that whole thing was weird to me, but he just was really put off by like how she spoke to him when the edit shows it really what they showed the receipts. It really wasn't that bad.
yeah.
Like she was upset, but she ended it with this feels forced. I want you to make a decision that you're comfortable with, whatever. But I guess her challenging him was just too much for him to handle.
He couldn't take it.
He couldn't take it. And I'm just like, I think you need to grow up a little bit, Jimmy.
Yeah, and
Or
that
if you don't
interview,
like it, just be upfront about it. Like, hey, Jessica,
yeah,
how you spoke to me really upset me, and I don't think we should move forward.
I'm not
Cool.
compatible with that. Like,
Yeah.
fine.
Or be an adult and bring it tomorrow. Hey, I sat on it. How you spoke to me, I didn't like. Like, let's talk about it, you know?
Yeah. It sounds like with that interview, it was a bit of like he was mad at whatever edit he felt he was getting and the
Yeah.
hate, because apparently him and Chelsea got a lot of hate. So he was
Yeah.
trying to like do a little damage control and just like, well, she got a great edit and like, she was actually the worst.
Yeah, and it's like the whole 10 minutes. Well, he's like, she's like, you said it was 10 minutes. He was like, well, it was like 45. And she's like, so it was 45 minutes? And he's like, well, I'm saying that it felt like 10 minutes, but it could have been 45. And I was like, Jimmy,
That's
put
too much
it
of a
together.
difference.
That's a long time. Yeah,
That's a
you could
half
get it.
hour difference.
And then they said she stormed off. In reality, from the clip, he was the one like, "Can we take a break?" And she's like, "Yeah, let's take a break."
Yeah.
You mutually decided to. That's not her storming off and pressuring you to marry her.
He's just a liar.
He's a liar. And so during the reunion, I didn't understand why Jessica was so upset because it didn't seem that bad. But after watching the interview, I was like, yeah, he was trying to like
Mhm.
paint her in a certain way. It's also very funny because there's pictures of them online, like taking photos together. And I was like, was this before or after? Because you guys aren't friends.
Well, I just saw a TikTok of Chelsea and Jimmy at like the bar together, like that Chelsea posted, where it's
Oh
like,
boy. Well,
so
we'll
I'm
never
like,
know.
well,
We didn't
that's the
even get to
thing.
ask them, are you guys still
Apparently,
friends?
they're just friends, but I don't know. I
I
can
don't know.
imagine though this show kind of being trauma bonding,
Oh
and
yeah.
regardless of if you're together or not, and
Hmm.
whatever happened, there's still like a connection there, so you probably find comfort navigating
Yeah.
the situation
Oh,
together.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I also love that Chelsea and Jessica are friends. And like
I do
Jessica has
too.
only spoken highly of her. Like I think it's so nice. Like I really love seeing like women come together just like understanding each other, you know?
Yeah.
Um and I thought it was interesting how during the reunion I wasn't sure because Jessica would say, "Oh, Autumn, that's Autumn's aunt. Aunt Chelsea, blah blah blah."
Auntie Chelsea.
And then Chelsea's like, yeah, we're really good friends. And then Jessica's like, yeah, my best friend Chelsea. And I'm like, so what is it? Are you the aunts? Are you guys best friends? Because Chelsea wasn't really like putting it out there. I'm sure they are, but I just was like, you
It's
think it'd be
funny.
mutual?
Yeah. Apparently all the girls are pretty close except for Sarah Ann. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's what it
Well,
is.
that also makes me think because in AD's interview, Nick asked her, was Chelsea's like what we saw on camera of Chelsea? Is that Chelsea? And AD said yes. Like,
Oh,
yes, my girl, she was just like, yes, like just very insecure. I don't know if she affirmed the insecurity because he was talking about just like, is Chelsea as insecure and stuff as they made her look? And AD said yes. And so I was like, are
well,
we
I think
asking the right
like
person?
yes in the relationship because didn't she say she was surprised because with like she was like I know her as like a girlfriend like she was so
Yeah,
seemed so confident like in the pods and
yeah,
all that but then seen with Jimmy it was a very different
yeah.
Chelsea than usual.
Okay, that makes a little more sense. Because I was like, did I just hear her confirm that Chelsea's
I
insecure?
yeah, I think she was like, oh, like she was definitely insecure in that relationship, but it
Yeah,
was still
yeah,
surprising. I don't
yeah.
know.
And I mean, even Chelsea in the other interview that we watched was basically saying that she feels like her edit was rough. Like they only showed her like freaking out or having a moment. They didn't show why she was having that moment.
Yeah,
And so she feels like they kind of portrayed her to be like more insecure than she feels like she is.
yeah.
So that's valid.
It's a wild ride, but
It is. I was hoping to get more from her, like why,
same.
but it makes sense now. Not on the reunion, but from the interview, it just makes sense that Jimmy was just like two different people.
Yeah. If only one of us had said that from the beginning,
I wonder where we would be.
where would we be?
Brandon, we can't think the same way. But
This is
I
true.
don't know. I kind of feel mad that I believe this. I'm a little salty.
Maggie's like, I've been bamboozled.
I am. Like Jimmy played me too. What he said in the pods, I
You got
believed
Jiminy
it.
Cricket. But
Oh man.
I think was that it with the Love Is Blind reunion? The other stuff
Feel
was like
like
the older couples that I was like, I don't remember.
yeah, I don't really care about anything they have to say. Yeah, that was essentially it. Oh, I was thinking while we were talking about Jessica, Jessica was mentioning to Trevor that she wished he had stuck up for Chelsea more.
Oh
And that like
yeah.
she had basically was trying to like tell people to chill when it came to Chelsea and Jimmy, but she
Hmm.
wished Trevor would have stuck up. Chelsea Moore, and I was just like, why? I don't know. I didn't really get her point there. And he was like, I have defended her online, and then they left it at that.
I guess it was before he was exposed, maybe, because he was acting like, oh, I care about her so much. And she's like, then why didn't you defend her, Trevor? I guess, but I didn't really
Mm.
get it either because I feel like he was exposed fairly early on.
Yeah, like
But I
what
don't
did you
know.
want him to do? And it's not like he's the most reliable source. I
No, it's
don't
not
think
like he's
people
good
would
with his
care.
words because even when he did talk, I was like,
Oh, please stop
anyways,
talking. Rescind the question.
rescind.
Also, also, I meant to mention this earlier when they were talking to Laura and Jeremy. Laura brought up how in his first, remember the conversation that Sarah Ann had with AD, where Sarah Ann told AD that I was about to say Trevor, that Jeremy said that they would break up
Hmm.
and he would move forward with Sarah Ann, like that was the plan. And so
Yeah.
she brought it up, and he's like, "Well, you're saying that because of the conversation she had with AD." And he's like, "Yes." And I think he was about to explain himself, and they never showed it. So I don't know if there was
Yeah.
more there. Did you notice that? Like Nick just they just shows Nick asking another question. And I'm like, "Why? Please address that."
Yeah, because I think what Jeremy was trying to say was that's not what he said the night they stayed out till 5 a.m. But
Yeah.
my question is like, then when did you say it? Because she said you said it.
She said you said it.
Apparently it was only like 3 days after the 5 a.m. conversation, and allegedly during those 3 days you were trying to get Laura back.
Yeah.
So
So when did you
when did
say
you
it?
say it,
Yeah.
Jeremy?
Yeah.
When did you say
Because
Jeremy with an A?
right.
When?
Right. These two really and then even on the bio files they asked AD like, did these two really just go jet skiing in front of everybody? And she's like,
Yeah.
yes. And we were all just like, are you serious?
Oh my
Jeremy
gosh.
and Sarah Ann have no decorum,
They
no,
don't.
no
None.
social awareness. Like you guys are fools. The 5 a.m. thing could have happened and they could have just moved on.
Yeah.
No talk. She didn't have to come to the lake. None of it. Moved on, had a little talk. Like, yeah, I did stay out with her till 5 a.m. The fact that you just entered a whole relationship in front of everybody is wild.
It
That's
is.
crazy. You could have waited. You could have took some time. They could be a month into their relationship, 6 months. Who cares? Just give it some time. Let production end at least. Like
Yeah.
that's wild to me.
Well, I wonder how long they've actually been dating, considering they've broken up a couple times.
Yeah.
So I
Usually people
guess
don't count that in when they say, "Oh, we've been together for," but they don't count the breaks, the
no.
pauses.
They take that out of it.
They take
So,
that, they omit those.
uh, but oh my gosh, Maggie, I can't believe Love is Blind is over.
I know. So now we have to watch a perfect match.
I know, when does that start?
Let me look it up. But I am
Jessica's gonna be on it, Micah from a past season.
yeah, so Micah was left at the altar or she said I think her husband said no to her. Izzy, his fiance or sorry, her fiance said no. Izzy's fiance said no.
It wasn't
So
because
it
he had
sounds
a
like
bad credit score or something.
there were a lot of things. Yeah, he wasn't forthcoming about his credit. I think that was it. Homegirl was a little superficial. A
Mm.
little.
I've
A
seen
little.
clips of that season because I watch these YouTubers that sometimes react to stuff and they react a lot to Love is Blind. And that season just seemed very odd. It was this season with Uche,
Oh yeah.
and he seemed odd as well.
Uche is very odd. Uche is mean. I don't know, man. Uche kind of fits the stereotype of like an aggressive Nigerian man, and I hate it. My partner, long-term partner, is Nigerian, and so I was like, Uche, you're not helping. Brandon, homegirl tells him that she has cheated in the past.
He's like,
You
"Oh,
know,
you're a
being
recent cheater."
yeah, he like hammers her. She's like, you should have did this and this and this, and it's like, Uche, you're on a date with her.
Right? And I
Are
think
you
she
really
was
about
even
to
like, it
lecture
was
her?
2 years ago. Like, it wasn't that recent. Like,
She
come
was
on.
crying. She was so upset. Uh, so Yeah. I would be interested to see him. Okay, so it stars people from Love is Blind, The Ultimatum. That show is trash. Too Hot to Handle, The Circle, The Mole, Sexy Beasts, etc. I've never heard of The Mole or Sexy Beasts. Have you?
I think I've heard of the mole, but not sexy beast.
We're gonna have to do some homework to prepare for this.
I know, right?
Or maybe they'll just give us context. But it says it's gonna premiere in the summer, so we have time. It's
Okay.
very vague. It just says this summer.
We
So we'll
gotta
see.
come up with a show to watch going forward while we're
Yeah.
quarantined. We gotta
We'll be
hit
back
the
next week with something new.
yeah, we gotta hit the whiteboard and see what shows we're gonna discuss.
Yeah. We
Other
should
pop
brainstorm a
culture
little bit.
news. Yes.
Pop culture news. We could just watch Vanderpump Rules. I'm cool with that. I haven't been watching. I'll jump in. I'll jump in and get into it. See,
Yes.
this kind of works. We trade off. Like I'm kind of the Love is Blind historian, so I
Hmm.
can fill you in. You could fill me into Vanderpump. Like we trade off a little bit.
Yes, I love that idea.
Yeah. So it might be Vanderpump Rules or something else. We'll keep y'all posted.
We shall, but on the TikTok, we'll be posting about a lot of stuff. So,
We will. We
maybe I'll
will.
post when Vanderpump Rules is on and like Summer House and all that fun stuff just to like keep y'all in the loop.
Yeah, that should be fun. And then Brandon and I are going to F45, so we might make some fitness related video. I want to do some before and afters just to track progress.
True, true.
That would
You've
be
recorded
fun.
yourself working out before.
Yeah, so I have a TikTok where I'm trying to like focus on wellness and like my personal growth, etc., mental health journey, etc. And so I wanted to put some like fitness videos there. I just think it's funny. I saw someone say like it's hilarious, like when someone like starts a health program and starts losing weight, they automatically become like a fitness influencer, and it's true. It's
Not
true.
wrong.
It's so like a culture shift. She's like my brother. Never talked about fitness as a couch potato. He started doing 75 hard and now he's giving people advice. You can't start for 2 weeks and just like
That's how I felt when I was like, not that I'm giving advice, but like when I was like editing my vlog this week for YouTube, I was like, I've talked in my YouTube because I do like weekly vlogs, F45 every week. But I'm like, it's just a part of
uh
my week, so I gotta talk about it.
yeah, it's part of your life. Yeah.
It's my journey. Um, but with that being said, I think that's it for today's episode.
That's it. We'll be back next week with something new.
We shall, so stay tuned. But in the meantime, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at the Shade of It All podcast. We
Mhm.
post a lot of clips on TikTok, Instagram. We will soon post something. It's there. It exists.
It exists.
It
Follow it. I'm
exists.
I'm working
Follow
on
it.
some things for it.
Maggie's cooking something up. But also you should rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and like give us 5 stars because
Yeah.
and subscribe to our
Or
YouTube channel. You can
or
watch us visually.
comment. Yeah. If you have a show you want us to review, we'll do it.
Yeah. We're all for recommendations
We're
as long
here
as they
for
don't
it.
suck. Um,
Bye.
but with that being said, that's it. And thank y'all. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.